Hello everyone, I hope you like my lipstick. Okay, this is going to be continuation of the last videos, but first I wanted to show you this because I'm so proud of mom. Okay, my mom is a hoarder, but she did this. She got a new chair, as you can see. Here, let me talk closer to the camera. She got a new chair, as you can see, but she pretty much cleaned up. This whole area was just an absolute mess behind the chair, and that used to be her chair. And she moved it over to there. She essentially, gave it to me, gave it up to any guests. And she cleaned out this whole area. I am so proud of her. And she cleaned up this whole area. And I mean, she did have me help her, of course. I took these out and put them there, trying to organize things. But this whole area, you can actually see the floor now, you know? And look at that. It looks so good. I hope that you can hear me because I'm not very close to the camera, but it looks so good. So incredibly good. I am so proud of her. It has not been this clean in I don't know how long. You know, it looks absolutely stunning. So let me turn it around now. And let me just pause while I, set myself up. So hello everyone. So this is a continuation of the last videos that I was doing, because I finally have the house to myself again for at least a little bit. So here, let me try to turn myself a little bit, block the light. So, okay. So, and I'm just going to quickly review, because there are a couple of things that I didn't mention on the last, basically 2 videos that I don't know why. I didn't mention them. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit, but this is just to kind of get myself up to speed and anyone else up to speed. So how can you tell? Basically, what it is how can you tell a sociopath, a psychopath, but, a non-player character, a vril, an underground reptile, a brother, what they call themselves, a brother of the serpent or son of the serpent, the 1%, basically those who rule this existence. How can you pick them out from actual human beings, is what it actually is. Okay. 1, they see themselves as owning the whole earth. They call it Terra, not Earth. And because they see themselves as owning the whole earth, they see themselves as owning all the resources, and they can use up and waste the resources as they so choose. And they see us humans, those who evolved from monkeys, as nature itself, and therefore able to be exploited as they want to. So think of us like carrots. What do you do with a carrot? We are the carrots. So they see us humans as earth to be exploited by them, essentially, is what it is. We're just something that grows on the earth that is meant to be used by them. So number 3, and this one says, I channeled this one, turns out that the surface of the earth, they see it like a huge ultimate video game, kind of like a Grand Theft Auto kind of thing. They do what they want, and yes, they do get away with it. That's how you can hear about these atrocious emptying people's bank accounts, stealing their retirement, killing people, and the actual culprits, nothing happens. Nothing happens to the actual person that did it. So, which brings me to my next point. How can you spot one of these vril or NPCs, psychopaths basically? They are always against victims. They're always against women's rights. They're always against workers' rights. They're always against unions. They're always for business. They're always for business. They are against, and this is what I didn't mention in the last video, they are against the jobless. They are always, always, always against the jobless. And they're against giving the jobless jobs. They are against the homeless. They are against the homeless. They are against the poor. They first create the homeless, and then they're against the homeless, saying that there's something wrong with the homeless. They first create the poor, and then they're against the poor, saying that there's something wrong with the poor. Literally. So, they're also against druggies and anyone who's addicted. So that's point number 5. In fact, they believe in punishing the addicted person rather than trying to cure them. They also see everything as a moral or social or psychological failing, like there's something wrong with the person or the person's personality. This goes back to victim blaming. You know, they're trying to make the victim, the druggie, the homeless person, you know, the woman, the poor, the worker, they're trying to make them out to be bad. They're trying to see them as a social failing, a psychological failing. Like there's something wrong with that person, that human being. And that is how you can tell one of these Vril, these Brothers of the Serpent, these, you know, non-player characters. They will always blame the druggie, the addict, you know, the homeless, the poor, women, what have you. They will blame the physically ill for being physically ill. They'll blame the mentally ill for being mentally ill. Literally, it doesn't matter. They will, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So, on to the next point, which I never managed to make in the last video. Oh, no, I did. They are against the physically sick and ill and will blame them for their illnesses, or usually they're the first ones to deny that the sick person is sick at all. Plain and as simple as that. They won't admit to the fact that this person, you know, even if it's a genetic fuck up, they won't admit to genetic fuck ups. They won't. They won't admit that, you know, this is something that is physically wrong with the person. And they especially won't admit to mental illness unless they can use that finger pointing, that blame pointing to manipulate the person. That is the main point of this. They use blaming to manipulate the person. That is the only way and the only area that I have ever seen them be, quote, for, unquote, you know, the titles or the labels of homelessness, addict, druggie, joblessness, poor, is when they can use those titles, those name calling items, to manipulate whoever they're calling, you know, those items. If they're using it to get people to turn against this person who is physically ill, this person who is mentally ill, they will, just as, this is a perfect example. Democrats have been calling Trump, and I'm, you know, I've been a liberal, I've been a progressive for a very long time, so I'm not, you know, just don't get me wrong in this, okay? This is not political, not at all. But Democrats have been using, they've been saying that Trump is mentally ill. All right? They've been saying that Trump is mentally ill. Well, they've been using that as name calling, as a title, in order to try to manipulate him, even though they can't manipulate him at all. They've been doing that as a point of trying to manipulate him. So, and I'm sorry if I'm shaking the camera here. I'm obviously sitting in the living room. There's more air out here, so, but so the only time, and yes, and these Vril, these non-player characters, the majority of them, along with Brothers of the Serpent, I do want to say one thing about the Brothers of the Serpent. They are actual human beings who are working for the underground reptiles, the Vril, the psychopaths. And one of the only ways that they can be able to compete, since they are physical, they're not transferring their consciousnesses out of their physical bodies. The only way that they can compete with or do what the Vril, the underground reptile, want them to do is to be completely high on drugs, completely coked out of their eyeballs, you know, cocaine, completely, you know, just topped out, tipped out on whatever uppers and energy givers that they need, you know, and that is what the reptiles are doing to these poor people to get them to perform and to get them to give the reptile, you know, to get the human beings to give the reptiles what they're wanting. So just to let you know. So if you end up running in the upper echelon, and this is mainly in the upper echelon, such as, you know, the and I'm going to take this lipstick off because it's spraying everywhere, but It's the 10-minute mark. I gotta go. Darn.